I moved into the apartment because of the window. That sounds strange when I say it out loud, but the moment I saw the place, I knew the window would be the thing that stayed with me. The apartment itself was ordinary. Plain walls, worn hardwood floors, and a kitchen that felt like it had been renovated just enough to pass inspection. But the window was enormous. It stretched across nearly the entire living room wall, looking down onto a narrow street that ran past a small grocery store on the opposite corner. From the moment I signed the lease, I imagined sitting there every evening with a cup of coffee, watching the quiet rhythm of the neighborhood. People underestimate how comforting it can be to observe ordinary life. Cars passing, neighbors walking their dogs, delivery trucks arriving. Tiny fragments of someone else's routine. It makes you feel connected to a world you're not really part of. For the first few weeks, that's exactly what the window was. A frame for everyday life. Nothing more. The first strange moment happened late on a Tuesday evening. I was standing by the sink washing a glass when I glanced toward the window and noticed a man walking his dog across the street. The dog was medium-sized, brown with a white stripe down its nose. The leash was bright blue. The man reached the corner near the grocery store and stopped. He bent down to tie his shoe. Then he stood and continued walking down the sidewalk. It was a completely forgettable moment, except I had already seen it. I remembered it clearly, so clearly that I even knew how the dog would tug slightly on the leash before the man finished tying his shoe. But that memory didn't make sense, because the memory was from earlier that afternoon. At first I assumed I had simply mixed up the time. Maybe I had seen the man earlier in the day and my brain was connecting the two moments. Human memory is unreliable, especially when it comes to repetitive scene, so I ignored it. The next morning proved that I shouldn't have. I was drinking coffee near the window when the same man appeared again. Same dog, same blue leash. He reached the corner, stopped, bent down to tie his shoe. The dog tugged gently on the leash, exactly the way I remembered. Every movement matched the scene I had watched the previous night. I stood there holding my coffee mug, staring through the glass. The same moment had happened twice, or so it seemed. But the second time wasn't identical. It felt inevitable, like watching a movie scene replay itself, not like memory, like prediction. That thought unsettled me enough that I began paying closer attention to what happened outside the window. At first, I only watched casually, but within a few days I realized something impossible. The window was showing events before they happened. The realization arrived slowly, not all at once. The moment that confirmed it happened 3 days later. I had just finished dinner when I noticed a red car pull up in front of the grocery store. A woman stepped out holding 2 paper grocery bags. As she walked toward the entrance, one of the bags tore open. Oranges rolled across the pavement. She laughed awkwardly while trying to gather them. One orange rolled farther than the others, bouncing into the street. A store employee stepped outside to help. It was a normal moment, the kind of tiny inconvenience that disappears from memory almost immediately, except I didn't forget it. Because the next morning, the exact same thing happened. Same car, same woman, same oranges rolling across the pavement. Even the one orange that bounced into the street followed the same path. I watched from the window in stunned silence as the moment unfolded again. The same scene. But now it was happening in the real world, and that meant something terrifying. The version I had seen the night before had been tomorrow. At first, I treated the discovery like an experiment. I started keeping a notebook beside the window. Every evening I would sit in a chair and write down the details of whatever I saw outside. A delivery truck arriving, a couple arguing, a cyclist nearly colliding with a taxi. Then the next day I would watch carefully. Every scene happened exactly as I had recorded it. Not approximately. Exactly. Same gestures. Same timing. Same movements. The future was playing out in front of my window, 24 hours early. The discovery changed how I lived. I started planning my evenings around observation. Instead of watching television or scrolling through my phone, I sat by the window and studied tomorrow. Most of the scenes were boring, ordinary life repeating itself in quiet patterns. But occasionally something unsettling appeared. One night I saw a man drop his wallet outside the store. The next afternoon I stood on the sidewalk and tried to warn him. "Check your pocket," I said. He looked confused. He checked his pocket. The wallet was still there. He shrugged and walked away. 30 seconds later, he reached for his phone. The wallet slipped from his jacket. It landed exactly where I had seen it fall the night before. Nothing had changed. The future corrected itself. After that, I tried interfering more aggressively. If I saw someone trip in tomorrow's scene, I would try to warn them. If I saw an argument start, I would attempt to interrupt it. Nothing worked. Every event adjusted itself to ensure the same outcome. Reality seemed determined to follow the script. Weeks passed. The scenes outside my window grew darker. One night I watched a bicycle crash into a parked car. The rider flew over the handlebars. The next afternoon it happened exactly the same way. Another night I saw two men fighting outside the store. The next day the fight occurred at the same moment. The same punches, the same collapse. Every detail repeated. Eventually the scenes became something worse. One evening I watched a car accident. Two vehicles collided in the intersection. The sound was violent even through the glass. The next day, the accident occurred exactly the same. No matter what I did, no matter how early I tried to intervene, the future refused to change. That's when the final scene appeared. It happened late at night. The street outside was quiet. The grocery store had already closed. Streetlights cast long shadows across the pavement. I walked to the window expecting to see the usual small moments of tomorrow. Instead, I saw something impossible. A man standing directly beneath my building, looking up at my window. He didn't move. He didn't speak. He simply stood there, watching. The next morning I avoided the window entirely. I didn't want to see what would happen, but curiosity is powerful. At 11:03 a.m., I finally forced myself to look outside. The street was normal. Cars passed. People walked by. But standing across the street was the same man. Looking up at my window, I closed the curtains that day. I haven't opened them since, but sometimes at night I hear footsteps outside my building. Slow footsteps, stopping beneath my window, waiting, because if my window shows tomorrow, then someone out there might already know what I'm going to do next.